Yeah, hello. Good morning, everybody. We're just we start, and then who will come later has the possibility to also see the video registration of this short, let's say, introductory seminar or webinar to the financial opportunities that our project GreenGrid offers to small medium-sized enterprises. Tommaso Librera, my colleague here, will explain you better, but let's say as a Secretary General of European Entrepreneurs, CAPME, Stefan Moritz, my name, I will just give you two introductory notes. Let's say there's in this project a totally new approach to innovation financing. We call it, let's say, through challenges. Which we are happy to test also with this project. And secondly, of course, there is the opportunity to bring forward intelligent solutions for our energy management, grid management, energy efficiency management, in order to make these the energy grids work better. And at the end, in the long run, cost less, which maybe you know, with the very ambitious green transition, the European Commission has also triggered a series of policies financing publicly the installation of alternative energy solutions with renewables and sustainable energy. And this means a complete overall electrification of the European Union's energy consumption, and that requires boosting of the grid, because the capacities of the grid must be adapted. And this is, let's say, the real cost of the renewable. So it's not true that the sun is not sending an invoice. The sun sends an invoice to the grid managers to transmit the sun's energy, let's say. And that invoice is heavy, and finally, at the end, the small medium-sized enterprises pay them. European Entrepreneurs, CAPME, is a confederation of SME associations all over Europe, with national, regional, and sectoral member organizations. We represent only the voluntarily associated companies. Means we don't have obligatory membership as organizations. No chambers that require, let's say, to be registered by default. We work in Brussels since more than 20 years. Let's say I'm leading this organization as managing director since 13, and we represent currently 1.5 million companies all over Europe, which is only a small part of the 25 million small medium-sized enterprises and mid-caps, but some of our members are quite important, like our Italian member Confapi, like our German member BVMW, or also our French member MAT, the movement of the mid-sized companies, the mid-caps. These mid-caps, by the way, have a special role in this project, and especially in this call, because they are often part of these so-called challenge owners. So I come back to the new approach, which, let's say, I have identified a need in their company, a technology need or innovation bottleneck, let's say, and would like to solve this problem. And they have launched this as a challenge to all the small, medium-sized enterprises and mid-caps that are able to solve it. And those companies that will solve it will receive 50,000 euro from the project budget without, let's say, big strings attached. The application process is very easy. Tommaso will guide you through it, but also will guide you through the 10 currently open challenges. But then we are already having ready other 10 challenges that will be published soon. There might be the possibility to also join at the second stage in the second part of this year to see if then maybe your companies have the ideal solution to one of the challenges. So that means the big company doesn't get money, but gets a solution. But the small, medium-sized enterprise or scale-up, startup gets maybe the financial support to test and to apply one of their innovations that can be suitable for a bigger company. So I hope this is interesting to you, and I will, of course, let you know. We will let you know, of course, all about the next steps of the project, which still lasts for another 1.5 years. So be ready to see also other calls for proposals which are coming up, a similar approach, and with other similar topics and opportunities. Thank you very much for being here, and please, Tommaso, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Stefan, for the introduction. So, good morning again to everyone. Welcome to GreenGrid's Innovation Day, which is going to be focused, as Stefan, our Secretary General, was mentioning, on the funding opportunities of this project and specifically the GrowthBox funding call. Just to give you an idea, today I'm going to just briefly talk about the GreenGrid project itself, so what it is about, what we're trying to do. We will then move on to the eligibility criteria of GrowthBox, which is maybe one of the most important points. And then I will guide you through what is the application and evaluation process of the proposals. We'll look at a timeline so you also can understand like when you can expect to hear back should you decide to apply. And then as Stefan also mentioned, we will look at the current, let's say, active challenges that you as an SME, if interested and say if capable, can apply to solve. And then in case you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. So GreenGrid is a Euroclusters project, and these here are the logos of the consortium. Obviously, as you can see, it's quite diverse, but clearly the focus is on what is the focus of the project, hence electrification, sustainability, clean tech. So we have obviously partners from Lithuania, Sunrise Tech Park, the Estonian Business School, Battery Cluster Portal, Clean Tech Scandinavia, EVBA Consulting, also the Estonian Clean Tech Association, and then us, European Entrepreneurs CAPME. So this project again is started last year, and it's going to continue for 1.5 years. Hold on, we have someone joining us. And again, obviously, the idea is to, let's say, foster SME-led innovation, facilitate technology adoption, and enhance market integration, all with the greater aim to render Europe's, let's say, electrical grid better, faster, and more flexible. And obviously, the project mainly does this through cascade funding. As mentioned before by our Secretary General, there is obviously there is plenty of, let's say, budget allocated to actually this type of calls in which we act as, so to say, mediator, putting in touch, say, small and medium-sized enterprises, startups, or scale-ups with larger companies, in this case, to carry out a project, which then goes, let's say, to the greater to the greater benefit of the grid itself. So the project itself offers, let's say, a variety of things, and these are, let's say, the 4 main categories. Obviously, as just mentioned, the 2 million in financial support, so for pilot, scaling, and market entry for small and medium-sized enterprises. But we also are organizing a Net Zero Academy, obviously free of charge, where we provide training, capacity building, and regulatory know-how, so to, let's say, better understand how to move within this ever-changing market, being the net zero and sustainability and clean tech arena in the EU. Obviously, then we also carry out this called Market Pulse, which is access to international markets, so EU, but also Africa, and let's say extra EU markets. So for companies that are trying to, let's say, go the next step, we also, let's say, offer assistance, financial assistance to, let's say, expand in other markets. And then being the, let's say, quite large consortium that we are, we obviously can offer this, let's say, cluster grid service where we, let's say, facilitate cross-sector partnerships, networking opportunities, and give you space to influence policy. So this is also, let's say, all in all, what the GreenGrid project does. Who do we support? Obviously, as you can see here, we support industrial SMEs, clean tech SMEs, and the so-called challenge owners. Obviously, industrial SMEs and clean tech SMEs are, let's say, the main drivers of, let's say, these changes, as are the ones that, in this case, for GrowthBox, have the chance to, let's say, deploy a solution that they have to a specific issue, which means that they receive funding support for that action, but also in turn have the chance to be integrated in larger value chains and maybe work with larger companies that otherwise would be quite inaccessible, let's say, to contact with. And obviously the challenge owners, so larger SMEs or mid caps that are companies that maybe have like a higher energy intensity when it comes to their processes, or they have identified some, as Stefan called them, innovation bottlenecks that they would like solved. And so what they did in this case was simply present their issue, project, challenge, however you want to call it. We transform it into a proper, like a normal project call, and this gives the opportunity to SMEs to participate and say offer their solution, and then the winner obviously gets the money to carry out the project, and the larger company receives, let's say, the finished product. Just to give you more detail on, let's say, what this funding looks like, it is divided into four, let's call them boxes. So the funding total is up to 60,000 euros for SME, and it follows also, you will see in the next slide, like a very specific logic. These funds are called a Power Boost. It is of the value of 2,000 euros, and it is open to all SMEs that have been active for at least a year to identify and map their energy challenges and prepare for innovation. So this means that you can either internally or by utilizing an external service carry out an innovation energy audit, and then what you receive obviously is this. So let's say like 80% like of finance voucher to carry out this audit, and then obviously what you come out with is this report, which then, if you wish, gives you the possibility to enter the GreenGrid, let's say, funding scheme, and apply for other funds using, let's say, that document as the main guide, which, for example, is the solution box of 30,000 euros. That is this funding scheme for finding and testing existing solutions that address your needs. So let's imagine you carry out the audit through Power Boost, and then you receive this in energy audit report that says that you, I don't know, have like some serious energy efficiency like gaps, and obviously gives you a specific, let's say, roadmap on how to like deal with them. We can, let's say, this can be turned into a project, and then if a company happens to have or has a solution that can address your need, they can get obviously 30,000 euros to like test it and deploy it, and then this results in kind of like a win-win situation. Another one, which is, let's say, the focus of today's webinar, is GrowthBox of the value of 50,000 euros, which is for validation and scaling technologies together with industry partners. So as I was mentioning before, these challenge owners, or larger companies that have presented a specific issue that they would like solved, they obviously are the ones that the winning SME will be working with, and all the information is obviously on the website under the form of like different calls. You fill out the application form with all the information about your companies, your capabilities, and all then the information on how you would, let's say, go about solving this specific issue, which we will look at later together. And then if you are the selected SME, then you basically enter like as if it was like a normal like a service contract with this larger company, and you provide the solution, and then and you receive obviously the funding from the project. Then last but not least, we have the bridging markets value of 3,000 euros, which is the, let's say, the box number 3 of the offers of the project, which is to explore new regions and connect with international partners. So as you advance, let's say, within the GreenGrid project, you also have the possibility later on in the project, we foresee maybe next year, we're going to start with bridging markets, to, let's say, expand and really go beyond even the EU sphere to, let's see, how you can enlarge and expand your let's say business connections when it comes to, let's say, further projects in the area of like digitalization, clean tech, and sustainability. And obviously this gives you, let's say, this type of funding in general gives you access to TSOs, DNSOs, and energy intensive industries, which then in turns allows you to create, let's say, long-standing partnerships that otherwise would be a bit more difficult, let's say, to carry out. This is visually what I was explaining to you just now. You have from the top left the Power Boost, let's say, which then allows you to then either enter the solution box, let's say, to pilot an existing solution to address any challenge that you have identified, or you can also become yourself a challenge owner with this innovation audit, which then allows other companies to, let's say, bid and present a solution to your problem. And then in this case, you would receive the finished product, and the SME at hand would receive the funding to carry out the project. And then last but not least, we have the bridging market. So to find, as I was just saying, new partners and scale your innovation. Hold on, we have someone joining. Okay. 1 second. Okay, moving on to what we're talking about today. So GrowthBox. So the 50,000 euros, let's say, funding scheme. The eligibility criteria are the following. Only SMEs can apply. So less than 250 employees, annual turnover or equal or up to 50 million, or and a balance sheet of 43 million. As I was mentioning before, minimum of 1 year in operation. You need to be financially sufficient and obviously comply with the EU restrictive measures and sanctions regime, which it's common in all, let's say, EU funded activities. And you need to be part of the countries in the single market program and also the competitiveness of SME strand. And again, all of this information is available on the website, and you can check in case you're in doubt if your country appears on that list. Obviously, the sector of reference should be the green transition, and let's say the company history should provide a technology readiness level of around 5 to 8. So, which simply means that you need to show that you have the capabilities to deal with specific issues relating to battery energy storage, grid flexibility, and similar. Budget-wise, it is expected a minimum of 20% of, let's say, the company's input. So the total project is 62,500 euros. So the company provides 50,000 euros, and 20% of that needs to be contribution of the company itself. And which is a very important point, due to regulations that are, let's say, coming from above, the declaration of honor and all the documents need to be signed with a qualified electronic signature. Unfortunately, we are not allowed to accept handwritten, hand-signed documents or stamped in a different way. It needs to be a verifiable electronic signature. Thankfully, there's plenty of free services also offered by the European Commission, but it is important that we are able to verify the correspondence between the signature and the information of the company. And last but not least, the deadline to apply is July 7th of 2026 at 5 p.m. Brussels time. So you still have over a week if you're interested. And obviously there's also going to be further calls in the future, but as of now, this is the deadline for the current one. The application is quite straightforward. It is done on the EU survey platform. The main part is in Word, and then it becomes a PDF, but there's no need to sign the part that you do on the EU survey. It's just filling out your data as you, I'm sure, have done for other EU-funded projects. It needs to be in English. That is also a requirement. One can submit only one challenge, let's say per SME. And the technology readiness level is again 5 to 8. And this is important. You are not allowed to have direct contact with the challenge owners. Can we add images? Hold on. I will look at the questions at the end so we don't lose. But I will read it in a second. So unless you have happened to, for some reason, to work with the challenge owner at hand previously, you are not allowed to interact directly with them, which means that we will provide you with an email address that is monitored daily. Okay. That is monitored daily, and we will act as intermediary to answer any questions you might have, because indeed there is a detailed PowerPoint outlining the challenge of the company, so you can, let's say, evaluate that freely. But should you require additional information, simply contact us, and then we will act as intermediary, as I was saying.
Tommaso, there's a question in the chat asking if it's possible to add images to the application.
I believe it is possible if, let's say, if it makes sense in the part in which you explain your solution or talk about your background. Obviously, you need to also respect the let's say, space limits. So once maybe evaluate if it's worth using images once you go through the application, which as you will see, it's a lot of pages, the majority of which are instructions. Some are documents for, let's say, the ongoing application, so reporting and stuff, if accepted. So the things that you per se have to fill out are not as many, so it's not an inaccessible application.
Mhm. Maybe you can go through that later.
Yes, we can go through. I can show you the document that you will see on the website as well. Just another point on the electronic signature. Obviously, as I'm sure you are aware, the e-signatures in the EU are defined under three, let's say, levels of security. So the simple electronic signature, SES, which is the basic form, that unfortunately is not acceptable for this call. It is required by say EU guidelines to have AES signature, so advanced electronic signature, which is linked to the signer and, let's say, can effectively identifies them and actually provides a higher level of security. But obviously, if you really want to be 100% sure, a qualified electronic signature, which it's perhaps maybe the most, let's say, common one, is provides the highest level of security, and it is created using a qualified device. And it's a also the issuer is a trusted provider, and this also makes it easier for us to assess and validate that the signature is indeed correct and be able to, let's say, carry on with the application. Because unfortunately, the no electronic signature invalidate makes the application ineligible. So that's very important for, let's say, transparency reasons, to keep that in mind. Again, timeline. So the call opened on May 7th, as you might have seen on our social media. And as I was mentioning before, on July 7th, 2026, we will be closing for application. Then the evaluation of all the applications will take place between July 8th and August 31st. Those who are, let's say, the applicants will receive feedback during the first week of September, and then should you be selected, you will be signing the sub agreements between the 8th and the 20th of September. After that, between the 21st and the end of the month, you will receive the 50% of pre-financing. And then ideally, October 1st, 2026, your project will start. And then during, let's say, the life cycle of the project, obviously it will be necessary to submit an interim report, and then final report, survey, a testimonial, and then you will receive the final 50% of the installment of the 50,000 euros once the project has been completed. Yes, Stefan.
How long can a project last?
There is no, let's say, defined like timeline. I will go through the documents shortly so we can see all the different questions. But there is per se no, like the timeline needs to be, it is, let's say, stated by the by you, by the SME, but obviously it needs to be a realistic timeline and has to be also outlined and is part of the evaluation within the project. So it needs to be, let's say, a reasonable, let's say, time span for a project of this kind. And so obviously I will be sharing the slides with you, but for communication, and also you will find this on our website, you can send emails at info@greengridcluster.eu. So for any questions, complaints, if you decide to withdraw your application at any point, or for any other inquiry, this is the, let's say, email address to refer to, because again, individual, let's say, consortium members such as us are not allowed, say, we're not, for transparency reasons, we're not allowed to interact directly with single candidates. So if you write us at this email, then we'll be able to provide you like all the information through one channel, so to also avoid any kind of delay. Now looking at challenges, so for the next two slides, these are the current like companies that have submitted a challenge. Obviously they're like different. Hold on, we have someone joining us. Okay, there's different challenges. They come from different countries around the EU. And for example, here we just left a little snapshot of what the challenge is, but further detail I will show you where to find it. It's on the website inside the calls document. Towards the end, every challenge has like the company of reference, their information, and then a link to an external PowerPoint presentation that outlines all the requirements and, let's say, what the challenge consists of. So as you can see here, for example, if you look at Enefit, their challenge revolves around managing the growing complexity of a hybrid renewable energy portfolio by improving aggregation, optimization, and dispatch of co-located solar, wind, and battery storage assets. So here it's more when it comes to the energy storage. So if your company is active in batteries, or let's say renewable storage solution, that for example could be something for you. Or another one, for example, from Electri Levi, it's about connecting more renewable energy to the grid while managing capacity constraints and peak loads cost efficiency. So you will find literally a little bit of everything, but obviously the red thread will be electrification, sustainability, storage, and obviously cost optimization, because ultimately, also due to the current situation, energy efficiency has become a very important and cornerstone, let's say, issue in everybody's business. So these are the first 5 challenges, and then you have other companies from Spain, Portugal, from Romania, so all having their own, let's say, independent challenges. So this is all in terms of the presentation itself. I will now show you quickly where you can find the website and all the information of this project. So let me know if you can see my screen. Are you able to see my screen? No, not yet. Okay. All right, we are back. So I will be sharing my screen so you can see. This is our website, the project website, greengridcluster.eu. So here, for example, if you first, before looking at anything, you want to have a look at the challenges, you can see here the companies that I was just showing you now. And then if, for example, you click on learn more, you will be brought to like a different, hold on, a different tab with all the challenge information. So you click on the website and then you're taken, or a new page opens, and you can see, so the company overview, let's say their current challenges in general, the functional requirement, desired feature of the solution, if there are any integration requirements, let's say systems that one needs to keep in mind in saying, okay, I am capable of interacting with the system, so and so, and also what the expected outcomes are. And again, here, the reminder of, if you have any questions, also you read this challenge and you realize it's not really clear about the desired features, all you have to do is simply send an email to info@greengridcluster.com, and then we will reach out to the challenge owner and provide you with your answer. So this is where you can find the information. On the website, though, you can also access the calls. So if you go up, then you go on open calls. Power Boost is the one, if you remember, that I mentioned at the beginning. So they say the smaller call that allows you to, it's say open, it's still open on a rolling basis. So we leave this one open until the funds exhaust for this one. And here, obviously, if you click on apply now, you will be taken to the portal, the EU survey portal. And if you click on guidelines, then you will see, you should be able to see this tab now. It's the document with, in this case, for the Power Boost, where you have all the necessary information about eligibility, how to apply, payments, reporting, and everything else. And the same goes, obviously, for the current one, which is the GrowthBox. So Solution Box is still will open like later this year. Bridging Markets, as I was saying, the internationalization one will open in 2027. As of now, this is the, let's say, the most interesting call, I believe. And if you click on guidelines, then you will hopefully be able to see, this is a document that like you all have access to, and it provides you with the entirety of the information about the project, about the open call itself, all the eligibility criteria, conflict of interest, application process. And then also, as I was mentioning before, you will find all the necessary documents or declaration of honor, the application form itself, the reporting templates, should you, let's say, be selected, the sub-grant agreement, so you can check everything. And if you have any type of question concerning that, always refer to the email that I mentioned, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. So this is all, let's say. Do you have any questions about anything at this stage? I don't know if you can, hopefully you can still see me. So if you have any questions about the project itself, the funds, or anything, very happy to answer. If not, I guess I did a really good job.
Yes, I do have a question. Thank you, Tommaso. Out of curiosity, how long does it take to fill a form, to fill the application, in your experience?
My experience, I mean, honestly, hard to say because obviously every challenge is different. And but per se, like considering that the time left is until July 7th, I personally don't think more than a couple of days. What I think takes longer is in case the selection and evaluation of what challenge, let's say, better fits your company's capabilities. But per se, so we designed all of these calls with the idea in mind. It's for small and medium-sized enterprises. It can't be an encyclopedia of applications. So the requirements are just the basic information about your company, which is, let's say, quite easily to find, and then it's more about your capabilities and explaining how you can, let's say, carry out this project. But per se, it's not a long process, so it's very much doable, I would say.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions by chance?
Don't know if you have underlined that, but I think it's important to say, of course, any kind of intellectual property or relevant solution is protected, let's say, then between you and the challenge owner company through a NDA, non-disclosure agreement, means that they have to respect your property in case also they only test and then don't validate or don't decide to use your solution. Anyway, let's say if there's anything concerned intellectual property, you are legally protected signing this NDA once you have submitted your proposal.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously, like we're very much strictly adhering to all EU regulations when it comes to privacy and everything. So it's more than guaranteed that like privacy is of the utmost concern, and obviously being clearly connected to the European Commission, let's say the environment is like safe when it comes to that. So as Stefan was saying, IP and NDAs like covers all your bases. Okay, well, if there are no more questions, then I thank you all very much for your attention. I will leave here in the chat, just to be safe, the website. So you can, on the website, you will be able to find all the challenges, and by clicking on guidelines, you will see on the GrowthBox call, you will see the documents that I just showed you with all the information, along with the email to contact in case you have any questions of any kind.
Do we get a PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, I can also share the PowerPoint presentation, of course. Let me make sure I have all of your names. So
by email, if you have registered, you have like
yeah, exactly. So yeah, if
address.
you have registered, and like I have your email, so I can send you the presentation as well.
Okay, thanks.
My pleasure.
Okay. Enjoy summer and see you soon.
Have a nice week, everyone.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining us.